I'm pretty fired up about tonight, guys. We got a returning guest. We've got the owner of Lost Lore Tequila is going to be with us today. Arturo is going to answer questions about all the new things they've got going on, share some of the new up-and-coming things as well, and give a little brief history of Arturo Lamas and Lost Lore Tequila. Check this one out.
It's tasting tequila with Brad.
Well, Arturo, I am fired up about having you back on the show. You're one of the first repeat guests. So I'm fired up to talk to you tonight and talk about all the new things you've got going on. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm just enjoying some Lost Lore Blanco and ready to talk good tequila.
Awesome. Yeah, same thing here. I see you got a nice bottle of Amburana there.
Yeah, I haven't popped this one open. It's too pretty.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the same boat. I'm like, I can't. When I finish the bottles, I can't throw them out because they're pretty. They're pretty color, and my kids like us. Like, I have like 6 empty ones, but yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Pretty nice.
Well, it's very cool. I appreciate you sending that out too, by the way. Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely, man.
For the people who haven't heard you in an interview, give a little bit of your background, where your story comes from and your story into tequila.
Yeah, absolutely, Brad. I mean, first and foremost, thank you so much for the invite again. It's always fun chatting with you and, seeing all the cool things you're doing. So I am very appreciative of the invite, and I'm excited to be here for a second time. So yeah, man, excited to talk some tequila. My whole story with tequila and agave spirit starts in the 1920s. This is a tradition that my great-grandfather started in Huitzila, Zacatecas, Mexico. It was a tradition that was passed down from my great-grandfather to my grandfather, then to my father. And then it kind of got lost with my father. My father moved to the United States for the American dream. He was a migrant farm worker. He was a factory worker. And he kind of moved from place to place. He was in California for some time. He was picking oranges in Florida. And then he landed in Illinois and is picking produce for a Dutch family. So instead of moving around, he decided to kind of settle there and, started working for a factory. At that point, our tradition was lost, and that's where our name comes from, Lost Lore. But growing up, I'd always hear my dad talk about distilling, with his dad and his brothers and sisters. So something that really intrigued me because, I want to be like my dad, still want to be like my dad. So I knew that at some point in my life, I wanted to bring this tradition back together as a tribute to them. My parents who gave up a lot to come to the United States and be immigrants and really, really fight and work hard to give us opportunity. So, flash forward some years, went into some different industries, went to the furniture industry, went to the beer industry. And, my wife, Sarah, who's a big part of this, she's a co-founder in the company. She knew that we wanted to do this and I wanted to bring our tradition back. So she really kind of pushed me to do it. This was in 2021 and I'm happy she did because, we were super busy with our career. We have 4 kids, so, just busy with life in general. But in 2021, we went to my father and we told him about the project. I thought he'd be super excited about it. And it really wasn't because my dad's retired. He doesn't want to work anymore, which is totally fine. But I was pretty persistent. I asked over and over and over again. And he finally said, yes, let's do this. Me, my father, Sarah, we went down to Mexico to team up with the Vivanco family, and Lost Lore Tequila was born.
That's awesome. Did you already know the Vivancos to get that started there?
We did not. So my family knows the Vivancos kind of distantly. So my family, they still make agave spirits, mezcal, and Tila Zacatecas. They have a brand and they actually, know them through the industry. So my cousin, Zenobio, knows Cesar Vivanco, who is the nephew of Sergio Vivanco, who's kind of the sales and marketing arm, NOM 1414. So yeah, kind of indirectly, just a little bit.
That's very cool. And you ended up at such an amazing NOM. I mean, it's so cool. We visited there. It's so beautiful. And it's a lot of fun when you're spending the day with Sergio Cruz.
Yeah.
So that's a great place to be.
It's a good time, man. It's really fun. We gotta connect down there one of these times because it's pretty fun hanging out with, not only the Blanco family and Sergio Cruz, but just overall, they have great staff over there. They're very attentive and they're very kind. So yeah, we'll have to connect sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll have to make that happen for sure. All right, talk about this new Joven that you have coming out. The label
Yeah,
is, you always have like amazing labels, but to
thank
have
you.
Sergio on there, it's so cool.
Yep, yep. So this is the new Joven. You know, Sergio and I, we worked very closely on all the releases that we have. But you know, Sergio is a huge part of this. Obviously, Sergio is a maverick in this industry. He's really pushing innovation, and I'm right there with him. And you know, I felt like it was important to do a tribute for him, right? So I asked him if it was okay if we put him on a label. It wasn't necessarily going to be for the Joven. We just kind of wanted to get something in process, and he really loved it. And I told him, hey, why don't we do it for the Joven? And that's what we ended up doing. But yeah, this is a really unique blend between our tequila Blanco and our Reposado. So it's closer to like a 60-40 blend where it's about 60% of Blanco and then the rest of it is Repo. So, there's some other things that we do with tequila along the way with oxygen and stuff like that. This is all a little bit different. So it's a really earthy flavor. You're going to get a lot of minerality from the Blanco, of course, but then you get some really nice, undertones from the Reposado. So it's a beautiful blend between the two tequilas, and I'm really enjoying it right now.
Is that Reposado? Is that in American oak? Is that what you age that
Yep,
in?
yep, yep. Yeah. So it's used American oak. So we use some used Jack Daniel whiskey barrels. So it's got some really interesting flavors going on. Of course, oak is going to be kind of what's going to be standing front and center, but you get some really nice caramel notes in there and some nice vanilla notes. So when you blend these two, it's really interesting because we didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't pick the blend either. This was Sergio, and when it came out, I'm just like, wow, this is first very flavorful, but then after that you kind of sit there and start digesting the flavors of tequila and seeing what it tastes like. And it's like, wow, man, you're just pulling out so many different flavors. With our Blanco, which is complex enough, you're pulling out agave, minerality, definitely some citrus. And then with our Repo, normally it's vanilla, oak, a little bit of caramel there too. So when you blend everything together, it's just like a beautiful bouquet of flavor.
Wow. And now is it 80 ABV?
So this one is not 80 ABV. So this one right here is 92 proof. It's 46 ABV. So we wanted to kind of come out with a little bit more alcohol content just to kind of bring out a little bit more flavor.
Did you push the alcohol content in the Blanco side, or is it from the high proof Repo that you guys usually do?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so kind of both sides. Repo comes out of barrels. It depends on the barrels too, but it doesn't go in necessarily at 40. It's usually a little bit higher. We try to push it pretty close to 50. And then when it comes to the Blanco itself, it's usually coming out of the still closer to 53, but that one is diluted a little bit more to kind of get to that 46% ABV.
Well, drinking through your Blanco, your high proof, and your still strength together, like if you sit down, it is like an evolution of the Blanco just getting a little bit more complex with every one that you move to. And
Yeah.
your still strength is one of my absolute favorite still strengths. And
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
the bottle gets it gets turned over. That's one that I'm always looking for another bottle of that one.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one, man. Age expressions, but Blanco for me, if I'm going to go to a store and if I'm going to buy a bottle of tequila, 9 times out of 10, it's Blanco. And I just have a really big appreciation for Blanco and not just ours, a lot of Blancos. I think it's really cool to taste Blancos, from the Valley or other Blancos from the Highlands and just see what the different agaves taste like. I mean, of course, it's all one, Blue Weber agave, but the terroir has so much to do with flavor too. And then from there, different yeast and stuff like that. So I feel like it's the essence of tequila. But yeah, with us, what we wanted to do was kind of just showcase what Blanco can be because it changes a lot. Once we change the ABV, and when you come with our regular Blanco compared to our high proof Blanco, those are pretty similar.
Mhm.
I think high proof, we just diluted a little bit more to get to our regular Blanco. But when it comes to still strength, when the tequila comes out of the still, when we distill our profile, it comes out pretty much closer to 53% ABV, but we really wanted to push it to get to 55% ABV. So we made some different cuts in our distillation, and we were able to get to 55%, and it just changes the profile completely. It's still Lost Lore, but it's got a little bit more of an edge.
Lost Lore with a kick.
Yep.
So is that something that's going to keep coming out, or is the still strength kind of gone?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think everyone's asking, even Sarah asked. I have no clue. I have no idea what we're gonna do in the future with this stuff. So, I think if the time feels right, we'll do it. If it doesn't, we won't. But yeah, I kind of like keeping up with innovation. I am from the beer industry, and we still run a brewery in Illinois, and we come out with a different beer every couple of weeks. If there is kind of like a slot for it in the future, yeah, we'll do it. As of right now, we have no plans for 2026 to kind of come out with those tequilas again. We'll see.
I know when I see one, I grab it because I know that it's going to be gone one of these times. So
Yeah.
let's talk about this beautiful bottle here a little bit, because you used a wood that isn't commonly used in tequila.
Mhm.
It's because I say it wrong. Amaramba, is that right?
Amburana. Yeah, close.
Amburana.
Yeah,
And
Amburana.
where does that wood come from? What is that? What's that kind of about?
Yeah, so this wood is from South America and Brazil, and it's a wood that imparts a lot of cinnamon and bacon spice flavors. So, I was at the brewery, and after the brewery, we went to a little bottle shop close to the brewery. And, we were talking to a friend there, and he gave me a bourbon that was finished with Amburana wood. And I said, wow, this is really, really interesting. And, the thought and idea came, well, what if we could do this with tequila and try it out and see kind of where it goes? So we did kind of like some trials, and it really worked well with our profile. I wouldn't say our profile is cinnamon forward by any means. Maybe there is some there in the background, but we really kind of amped it up with bacon spice and cinnamon, when we tried playing around with this tequila. And yeah, it came out really, really, really good. It surprised me. It really did.
Now, did you age only in those barrels, or was it finished in those barrels?
Yeah, it's finished. Yeah, so
Okay.
this is our regular repo that's finished. When we came up with the whole idea, Sergio had never worked with these barrels before, this wood before. And, I told him, hey, well, I'll try to gather whatever information I can. So I talked to a friend of mine who's got a distillery in Illinois. And, I asked him about it, and he said, hey, be careful with that wood because it's very, very strong. So, I let Sergio know about it. And, he was testing and tasting the tequila pretty much every 3 days or so. Because if you let it sit there and you let it ride out for a long period of time, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it may be, it'll take over. And, it really wouldn't be a tequila at that point. So, he tasted it along the way, and, we got to a point where it was probably sitting on Amburana for about 40 days. And I felt like that was a really sweet spot. I felt like it was still tequila, which we always wanted to be. We still felt that there was some agave flavor there, but then you start getting some really complex flavors with a regular reposado of caramel with vanilla. But then you had this, additional dynamic where you start getting flavors of baking spice and cinnamon with the Amburana. And again, it just came out with like a, really beautiful bouquet of flavor with this tequila. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite.
Yeah, I noticed that it was had a lot more spice to it and a lot more cinnamon and almost no floral note, which a lot of times I'll get some floral notes with a citrus note in your Blanco. And it's sort of like muted that floral side to me and amped up all of the spice. And I love a strong cinnamon in the finish. That's one of my favorite flavors in a tequila. And it probably has the most of any repo that I've tried, where the cinnamon is just like a great bomb of cinnamon in the finish, but still all that agave in the front. So it was
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah, no, Sergio, he crushed it, man. I just kind of threw it out there. And when I say Sergio's a maverick, he's a maverick. I mean, he's
Absolutely.
really willing to go out there and take some risk. That it's calculated risk, but he knows how to take some risk. And I mean, this tequila could have gone sideways. It totally could. But he made it work out. So yeah, I think that release was probably one of our most popular releases, if not the most popular.
It's pretty incredible. Now, You also hit it out of the park with, I'm going to say, has been my favorite bottle of tequila in 2012. And I just hope you make it again. But it's the Agave Jackfruit. That is absolutely amazing. I actually keep it resealed and I seal it every time I open it. So it's harder for me to open and drink. So I don't drink it all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I got bad news for you. That one's probably not gonna come back. So
That's never
I got rid
happening
of
again.
that. I got rid of that barrel. So really interesting project. It was a jackfruit barrel, brand new jackfruit barrel that came from Brazil. And what we did is it was a mistake. I asked Sergio to put tequila, our repo from our regular repo oak barrels to the jackfruit barrel, and he I think misunderstood me, and he just put Blanco straight in there. So the jackfruit is very similar to the Amburana, where it pulls out a lot of flavors really really quick. So we're down in Mexico, and Lou's there, and Adam from Off Premise Chicago, and we're tasting this thing, and it was still Blanco. I think it was only in there for 40, 50 days, but it imparted just like really really subtle flavors in the jackfruit barrel, which could be very fruit forward, tropical, so very unique flavors. We had to submit that to the CRT, and we had some issues with it, so we had to kind of go back to the drawing board and get it back in oak. Yeah, it was a big mess. So I decided, yeah, probably not going to do this one again. I sent it down to Oaxaca. It's actually going to get filled with rum.
No
So
kidding.
yeah, we did a collaboration with Alembique Sedano. They sent us some barrels. I sent them some barrels. Take a look out for that, because Alembique Sedano is gonna do something pretty cool with that barrel. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's very cool. The amount of tropical fruits that I picked up in it just absolutely blew me away. It's like
Yeah.
when you open up a Blanco and you're like, I taste pineapple and coconut in this Blanco. How's that even happening? It's so good. It's also very refreshing and way too easy to drink for sure.
Yeah, I know, right? Thanks, man. I really appreciate the kind words, because again, it was one of those things where, Sergio had never worked with that type of wood, and we didn't know what was going to happen. It really was kind of like a happy accident. It's like, all right, well, our intentions were this, we had to end up doing this, but it actually came out really, really good. So I did like that at least a lot.
Well, there's another great one. I didn't get to try. I didn't get to buy it. I was budgeting, and these two single barrels came out at the same time, so I didn't get the Pyrolu single barrel, but I was able to taste it, and that one is a banger as well. But
Yeah.
I didn't catch what that one is. How did you guys make that one? What was the story behind the Pyrolu?
Yeah. So we got a cognac barrel. So we got a cognac barrel. So it's French oak, and we sent that down, and we put Blanco in it, and we let it sit for a long period of time. So that was a collaboration with Pyrolu. Pyrolu's our bud, and he's a really good guy, and he's doing some great things for the community. So we definitely wanted to support him, and we came out with this tequila, and it did come out pretty good. Again, this all goes to the genius, the smarts of Sergio Cruz. Like, not only is he a really good distiller, but he's a very good barrel blender, and he understands barrels. So yeah, we're really happy with that one, and that one's probably a one and done. I think I may have that barrel somewhere over there. It may be dry rotting right now, who knows? But it's over there somewhere.
Well, I got to say, not only is Sergio a master at this stuff, he's also coming along with his English really quickly.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's pretty
he is.
exciting. So we'll get him to the point where we can have him on at a show. I just did it with John, and that was like trying to tame a roller coaster doing that interview, but it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So it's really exciting to be able to communicate better with Sergio. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's got his English classes every week. I'll call him, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm in the middle of a class, so I got to call you back." Yeah, he's doing I think it's like every Thursday or something like that. So I know not to call him Thursday mornings now.
Yeah, my wife is taking Spanish classes on Thursday evening. So I said
Okay,
next time we're down there, she'll
there
be
you
able to
go.
speak Spanish and he'll be able to speak English. So it'll be awesome.
Love it. That's awesome.
So, is there anything else that's about to come out that people can start looking for or pre-ordering?
Man, yeah, I'm losing my mind with all this stuff, but let's see. The next one is gonna be our Tahona is gonna come out. So our Tahona is 100% uh, Tahona instead of using a roller mill. So, when you use a Tahona, you have to use a lot more agave. So it's about double the agave to come out with this profile. So very inefficient, but you get some really beautiful flavors. That minerality kind of gets kicked up. I think the sweetness of the agave, the cooked agave, gets kicked up too. So we're really excited to release that one. It's coming up really, really, really soon. We have another Rested series that's coming up. We did a collaboration with Westbound and Down Brewing in Colorado and Denver. So, that one, we took their stout barrels and we put our Reposado in them. And this one is a little bit different than the ones that we've done in the past. So I think that the sweetness is a lot higher. There's definitely more of a stout character to this. So for anyone out there that, that likes chocolate notes or anything like that, they'll really enjoy this tequila. And then we have our high proof Reposado that's going to be coming out in October as well. So last year, high proof Reposado was probably one of our best releases. Really, really good Reposado. Again, with that ABV being at 49%, you start getting some different flavors. Everything's amplified. The agave is always still there. It's the star of the show, but then you get some really nice oat flavors. Again, caramel, vanilla on that one, but it's just like really, really, really flavorful. So we decided to bring that one back out again. And then from there, we got some stuff that we're looking at for 2026. I think 2026 is going to be the year that we come out with our extra añejo. Sergio and I had a meeting about it last week. We kind of have an idea what direction we're going to go into. So that was going to be a tribute to my father, who has been so key to everything that we've done. I mean, this is a tribute to him. So, the artwork is my father sitting there at the 1414 patio. And, it's going to be a release that's pretty near and dear to me. So I think that it'll be pretty small release. We probably won't do more than one pallet, which is around 660 bottles. So, pretty small, but the quality's going to be super, super, super high.
That's awesome. I love the way you're honoring your family in what you're doing, and that your dad is actually involved in this with you. It makes it really cool. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah, he yells at me. That's his job. So he just yells at me and tells me what I'm doing wrong. But sometimes you need a kick in the ass, right? So yeah, no, he's still a big part of it. He still goes down there with me. We were just down there together a couple months ago. So he is retired, so he's not doing day-to-day stuff. But yeah, he's involved.
Now, you've kind of taken a step back from your other business as well, right? To focus more on Lost Lore.
Yeah, yeah. Up until about a month ago, so I was making furniture for probably 15 years. That's what it came out to. So, it's a chapter that's kind of done with, and now we're focusing more on Lost Lore, which is great because I needed this time. I mean, the brand is really growing. We're in about 30 states now. We have a plan in place to kind of go and start working with some controlled states, which are just a little bit more challenging as opposed to the open states. That's going to be our big focus next year. And, I feel like we went pretty wide, but it's time to go deep in these states. So, we're building our team, and, we're trying to get more people in the market so that we can do tastings and just work more with distributors, with promotions, incentives, so that, we could bring, as much Lost Lore to the market as possible. And in the right way, though. We're not trying to be in every account. That's not what Lost Lore is. We want to be in the accounts that are agave focused and really care about tequila. So, that's our focus right now. And yeah, things are moving along, and yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
That's awesome. On the Tahona that you're doing, are you going to just do the Tahona Blanco, or will there be a Tahona Repo and a Tahona Añejo at some point?
Yeah, yeah, I like where your mind's going, Brad. So maybe we need to collaborate on a Tijuana Reposado now.
That sounds like a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be Blanco. I haven't really dug into too much of barrel aging any type of Talona because again, you get some different flavors, and we definitely want to keep those flavors. And if we barrel age and if we can add to those flavors and
Mhm.
contribute to those flavors, I'm all for it. If it's something where it takes those flavors away, takes some of the minerality and stuff like that, then probably not. But I think that's more of a Sergio question to see what he thinks. And yeah, man, I like this collaboration with Lost Lore and Brad Helena Reposado coming up
That'd
soon.
be fantastic. Yeah. I just want to fly down there to taste the barrels.
Love it. Let's do it. We'll have a
So,
fun time.
on that process of the Tohono Blanco, are you going into the wood fermentation with fibers, or are you doing stainless steel fermentation?
Yeah, so that one is going to be stainless, so with some fibers in there. So he does have the cantinas over there where they do the fermentation, and we tried it both ways, and I like both of them. But when you start adding the tinas, you're getting a different flavor, a different element, which is amazing. But what was I wanted the Telena to stand by itself and say, hey, this is a Telena Blanco. There's going to be nothing else that is going to contribute to flavor. This is it. And this is what it tastes like. So, we do have some projects in place right now with those tinas. I really like the tinas in the beer industry. They're called fooders. And there's some amazing beers that you could, put into fooders and you get, completely different flavors. And what ends up happening is you have different yeast, right, that come from the air or the yeast that you pitch or whatever it may be. But all of those yeast, they kind of get stuck in the wood. So whatever tequila or mosto you put in there, you're going to get those yeast and you're going to get kind of like a blend of flavors, which is very beautiful. That's something that we have in the pipeline. We have our own Tina Blanco Beta Blanco, if you will, that's going to be coming out here soon. So we're hoping that we can sneak it in before the end of the year. But if not, it'll definitely be early next year.
Do you feel that the wood softens some of the minerality in fermentation from the Tohono versus the stainless steel keeps that minerality a little more?
I think so. Yeah, I think that when we tasted the two side by side when we were trying to figure out what our profile was going to be, I felt that the minerality was definitely sharper when it was in stainless steel, and then when we did the other one, the Dina, it's like okay, it's still there, but there's another element. So I don't know, kind of like in my mind, if I'm just saying, all right, there's something else that's taking attention away from the minerality, but it definitely felt like it kind of got lost a little bit. Still very beautiful, great tequila, but yeah, we decided to do stainless, so it's definitely agave is the star of the show. That one.
Do you do any distillation with fibers in distillation?
Not yet. So, Sergio has done it with some other brands. I think he's done that with a couple of the Siempre releases. We have not done it just yet. I think it's really innovative. I think it's cool. It definitely imparts different flavors. So, we may go down that road. I think I have to educate myself a little bit more on it because he's like a maverick, man. It's just like, stuff that, you really don't see in other distilleries. And but it's great quality, and that's what matters most. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about it and possibly doing it in the future.
Is there ever a future Lost Lore mezcal?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I think that would
No.
be really cool. That'd be going back all the way, right?
Yeah.
To show
Yeah. Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. If it's specifically going to be lost lore. I do know that I have a project with my cousin that's called Primo Hermano, so like cousin brother. So, that's going to be more focused on agave spirits and mezcal. We have something really, really, really cool coming up with that. So, probably not going to necessarily happen this year, but it will happen next year. And it's going to be interesting stuff that may involve a master distiller that. So we'll see.
That's awesome. That'd be very cool. See, is there any other guesses I can make that are going to happen?
Yeah. You're picking my brain now. Yeah.
I'm seeing right in
Telepathically
there.
right here.
I know your story, and I know how deep it all goes and how innovative you are. And now that your time is going to be a little more focused, I think you're going to have a lot of amazing things happen. And I think the growth is going to be good too. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about watching it happen.
Yeah, me too. I feel like we're a unique tequila company. There's a lot of amazing tequila companies out there. We're proud Mexican Americans, and I feel like we have a respect for tradition and tequila, and we really show that with a lot of releases, especially with that core Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. But I feel like we have kind of like the American side where it's like, hey, I was born and raised in Chicago, right? And it's like I have a certain idea of what music I like. Like I could listen to Chelino Sanchez and I could also listen to Tupac or Biggie. It doesn't matter. I'll listen to it all. So like, you really kind of see that in our social media with me and Sarah being Mexican American. And like, I feel that makes us really, really unique. So as between, kind of like what the brand is and our releases and what we're doing. Yeah, I feel like we have something special going on.
No, I totally agree. It's a tequila that I talk about to a lot of my friends that I explain, the name and that, how that almost got lost and how you're keeping it alive. And then now you're doing it in such an awesome format. And the tequila's great. You guys are awesome. So I'm fired up about you guys and your growth.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's a grind. It's a grind every day, but hey man, if we're not working, the competition's always working. So, we have to keep grinding away.
So how close is that Indiana distribution?
I think it's coming really quick. Yeah, we had a call with a distributor who's in a few states in the Midwest, and I have another call tomorrow. So I think it's coming quick. Indiana is important for me because, again, I being born and raised in Chicago, it's like, well, Northwest Indiana is right there. We'd spend a lot of time in Northwest Indiana, and I think we talked about this. I went to the Indy 500 like 10 times in a row. Like I'm very familiar with Indianapolis, I'm very familiar with Northwest Indiana. So yeah, I'm hoping this happens this year. If it doesn't happen this year, I'll make sure it happens next year. But we're still hoping to launch here. I'm hoping by September. If it doesn't happen September, then the ship is sailed because no one's going to do anything for October, November, December. But maybe January, February is going to be, in our cards. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I have some restaurants and bars, or restaurants, bars, and liquor stores that I know they're going to make shelf space for it as soon as you get it because I've told them about it so much. It'll be awesome to have you here in
Awesome,
the
man.
city.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know if anyone could do it, it's Brad, man. You know everybody. So who
I'm
doesn't?
meeting a lot of people. I'll say that. This has been a fun ride, and I appreciate you doing such an early interview with me. I think you're like maybe my third or fourth one, and I just started doing this almost to a full year. It'll be I think August 24th when I posted my first videos.
That's awesome, man. You got
Almost
to
a
throw a
year
big
in.
party.
We're
You're
gonna have
crushing it.
to. Hopefully,
You're
you have
crushing
Lost
it.
Lore here. We can have a big Lost Lore party.
I love it, man. So yeah, we'll have to be in touch, man. But I remember when you got everything going. I thought it was really cool, and it's awesome to see your growth because it's really catching on. I see you all over the place. So congrats to you, Brad.
No, I appreciate that. It's a lot of fun. It's because of the people like you that are so open and uh, helpful and courteous with your time. It's the whole tequila group of people has been really just downright amazing.
Agreed.
Add to it going to Mexico and going to Arandas and to Tequila and Guadalajara and Tatanico and all these little towns where everybody is just so open and nice. And gosh, I wish it was like that here.
I'm with you, man. It's a different world, It's more community focused, and there's a lot of kind people. There's a lot of assholes too, but it's like that over here in the U.S., man. It's like there's a lot of kind people like yourself, and it's interesting, but it's definitely a different culture. That's absolutely for sure.
Yep. I like that everybody kind of takes a minute, right? Here, everything's go, go, go all the time. And
Hmm.
I fit into that better than most. I mean, I'm a work 10, 12 hours a day, work on the weekends, always going. And you get down there and you're like, oh, look, everybody's late.
Yeah.
It's because it's just take a minute, take a step. Who cares?
Yeah.
Let's make this
Yeah.
an enjoyable time. And I do enjoy that so much.
I agree. Every time I go to Arandas, it's a different world. It's very relaxed. Nothing's rushed. There's no times. Like my first meeting with Sergio Blanco, he was late by like an hour and a half. And he comes in and it's like, all right, here, you guys ready to drink tequila? It's like, I guess, yeah, let's do
Yeah, I guess
this.
so.
Yeah. So no, and it's fun, man. It's like again, it's a different world. Sometimes it feels like it's a dream, and it's fun to go over there. And for people who haven't gone over there that may be afraid because it's not safe or anything along those lines, I can tell you, I'm from Chicago, man. If you look for trouble, you're gonna find it, and it's the same thing anywhere. You look for trouble, you're gonna find it, but in Guadalajara and Arandas, very safe areas. And I suggest anyone who has an interest to go over there, to go over there and go to Tequila too. Like tequila is amazing. Tequila is more of a touristy town. You can go to a lot of great places like Fortaleza, El Tequileño, just a lot of great distilleries. And in the Highlands, there's great places like Non 1414 that you can go to. You go visit the Camarenas, you go to Ocho, you can go to Tapatio, El Pandillo, whatever it may be. So yeah, it's definitely a fun place to go to.
I say plan a couple of distilleries each day, except for 1414. When you're going there, that's the only one you go to on that day.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we started at 10 in the morning, and I know that I left at 8:30 at night, and I was told everybody else was closer to 1 in the mornings.
Yep.
Yeah, I learned
That's
my lesson.
how it goes. Yeah, we have a really cool bartenders trip coming up. So we're taking some bartenders from the Phoenix area down there. It's probably about 10 bartenders, and we're gonna go over there. And we're gonna have dinner, and I asked Sergio. I said, "Hey, can you be available for this?" And he's excited. He's like, "Yep, I'll be there." So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
it'll be
we'll see how that goes. That should be a fun night.
that'll be a super fun night. Was there anything in the tequila world right now that bothers you, or that you're concerned or worried about?
Man, I I I probably should pay more attention to it, but, like, we've kinda just been, like, in our own lane, and just kinda, like, focusing on us and how we can be better every single day. So, I haven't really, studied or know enough about what else is going on in the tequila industry. I know that there's, always the additive-free fight, and I think that what Tequila Matchmaker did was awesome, and Scarlett and Grover, and I think they really gave us a platform and a voice. If anything, I would say, you know, kind of maybe being able to have more of a voice and platform and using that in our marketing, because it makes a difference, So, as far as the bickering that goes back and forth between the CRT or other organizations, we're not paying too much attention to it. We appreciate the CRT for what it is. Obviously, we have to work with them, and when we submit labels, we probably work more with the CRT now than ever because we have a new expression that comes out often. There's a really good group of nice people over there that are very professional and straightforward. But yeah, maybe I'd hope that, with time we could try to figure out more of a platform for additive-free tequila.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I could imagine the time that you spend with them just on labeling alone.
Yep, it's a long, long
That's a
time.
lot. What's the thing that you're most proud of to date from what you've done with your business?
I think that my most I guess this is a tribute to my parents. So my parents are seeing this, and I feel like for my dad, it's a full circle in some ways. So he came over here. He did completely different things that he didn't have any skill in, didn't have any idea. It was work for him, and to give us opportunities to bring this back to our family, like to my parents, my dad, like that means the world to me. I know that there's all these other things that goes on in the tequila industry, specifically with our brand and releases and this and that. But if I didn't have that, then there's no point of doing anything else. So that's the most important for me.
Very awesome. Well, I want to say thanks for doing this with me. This will be out in a couple of weeks, so it'll come out in towards the end of August. And I know that you're doing, I think, free shipping on your website
Free
for the
shipping.
free
Yeah.
shipping. So everybody needs to know that. And it's lostlore.com, correct?
It's lostloretequila.com. Yeah, Sarah's yelling at me.
lostlore.tequila.com.
She's like, you know how much money we're gonna lose on this? But
You
I think
sell
it's
a
a
lot of
good
bottles.
yeah, it's a good opportunity to have people taste Lost Lore. There's still a lot of states that we're not in, and we get inquiries pretty often. And I want people to be able to try it out. Without taking a risk of, all right, hey, I gotta drive over here, or I gotta pay an exuberant amount of money for shipping. This is a good chance to do
Yep. I was in Chicago this weekend. So it was like, I've got to drive to one of the stores that I know has some Lost Lore. So
it.
social media wise, you guys have great social media. So check out them on Instagram and Facebook. And do you guys have a TikTok as well?
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
It's for the cool. It's for the cool kids. I'm not cool enough for TikTok
Yeah,
yet.
I struggle at TikTok. Mine's growing on YouTube. So I got the YouTube growth going on. So, well, I know you're busy doing what you do. I want to say thanks for doing this with me today. I appreciate you very much. You guys are awesome. And I can't wait to see you guys in person again.
Yeah, me too, man. Hey, Brad, I appreciate you. What you're doing is really important for this industry, especially for the small guys. We're small, in terms of the tequila industry. We don't have big marketing budgets or anything like that. So what you're doing means the world to us. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you doing this with me. So I got a little teeny bit. I'll cheers you here at the end.
There you go, brother.
Salute, my friend. Oh, it's so good.